Well, hello and welcome to the LLG Grapevine podcast. You're listening to Deborah Evans, Chief Executive at LLG, and Dennis Hall, LLG Bulletin Editor.
Hello, everyone.
Well, I'm delighted to step in once again this week as Helen is still away, topping up her tan, but she'll be back with us for the conference. It gives me another opportunity to talk about what's happening at LLG. And of course, this week is hectic. We're putting the finishing touches to our spring conference on Friday, the 9th of June at the Regis Hotel in Birmingham. And there's a tremendous lineup of speakers and contributors covering a broad spectrum of topical issues of interest to our members. And then there's the prestigious dinner and awards ceremony following the conference. And throughout the day, there's our very popular corporate partner exhibition, Wow, I Hear You Say. Now, opening the conference for us is West Midlands Mayor Andy Street, and he's going to have a lot to say about local government issues of the day. And Dennis, I see you begin by mentioning him because he does have strong views about how levelling up funding is going, so that'll be interesting. And he's followed by a second keynote speaker, Marvin Rees from Bristol, who's also going to be talking about the importance of having a really strong team of lawyers if you are to successfully deliver a mayoral agenda. And I should mention that the main conference programme covers not only mayors and devolution, but Levelling Up Bill and the Green Agenda, and that's just the main sessions. There are also a series of breakouts running too that cover various practical issues you'll want to know more about, things such as the local government pension scheme, and there's also wellbeing sessions that you might like to attend because looking after yourself is incredibly important. And obviously this is all followed by day 2 of the conference 1 week later, which will give you all of those technical legal areas that you're looking for through a variety of workshops which we'll be sharing on Zoom. So if you want to know more about that, do have a look online. So Dennis, what have you got first this week?
Well, Deborah, yes. West Midlands Mayor Andy Street has indeed said that government should trust local people more as part of the implementation of its levelling up policy. There's a lot he might support indeed in the LGA's response to the latest Levelling Up Parliamentary Report published at the end of May. Here's more on that. A report by the Levelling Up Housing and Communities Select Committee warns that levelling up is at risk unless government provides long-term substantive funding for councils to deliver inclusive economic growth for their communities. Councillor Kevin Bentley, chairman of the LGA People and Places Board, said, "Levelling up has the potential to transform people's lives and livelihoods, with councils best placed to make this happen. This should be locally led by evidence of where crucial investment needs to go, not based on costly competitive bids between areas, as this important report confirms. Awarding relatively small pots of cash is not a sustainable approach to economic development or public service delivery. It also falls short of the challenge set out by the Levelling Up White Paper and the ambitions of local leaders for their residents and places. The government can boost local sustainable productivity and save money by building on the White Paper's commitment to streamline the long list of individual local growth funds. It should also commit to providing better information about total public spending in a local area, to support a greater coordinated approach across government and with local leaders. Greater powers for councils with local and national support, without them needing to negotiate costly funding competitions, will also help make levelling up a reality. Deborah.
Thank you, Dennis. So, how diverse is the legal profession? Well, the last diversity review by the SRA was published in March 2022, just over a year ago, and there is in fact a link in Bulletin 21. However, LLG has now completed a new and updated survey that focuses on the local government sector. And as you would expect, there's an opportunity at the spring conference this week to discuss all aspects of what we discovered, specifically about you as lawyers in local government. Our own Director of Equality, Diversity and Inclusion, Manisha Patel, will be in the chair to take a deep dive into the survey findings. We will compare our data to the legal sector and the wider population, looking at our successes, problems highlighted by the survey and areas for improvement. And trust me, there are areas for improvement. You will see how issues with recruitment and retention have impacted on our demographic and much more besides. So really looking forward to that one. Dennis, back to you. What's next?
Well, Deborah, I see that there is a panel session on the changing nature of the monitoring officer's role. One topic currently in the news that might be raised there concerns those data breaches involving Capita. IT governance and risk is now acknowledged as a significant and rapidly emerging corporate challenge. Here's the story. The Information Commissioner's Office has urged organisations, including local authorities, to report any personal data breaches that could be connected to cybersecurity incidents at Capita. This follows an increasing number of reports of local authorities being affected, or at least declaring concerns, caused by a possible vulnerability in the company's revenues and benefits software. Capita systems are widely used throughout local government, particularly in corporate and financial environments. Reports of a cyber attack on Capita systems originally emerged in early April. Now, an ICO spokesman said it was aware of 2 incidents concerning the company, the cyber attack and its use of publicly accessible storage, and has received a large number of reports from those affected. An ICO spokesman said, "We are encouraging organisations that use Capita's services to check their own position regarding these incidents and determine if the personal data they hold has been affected. They say, if necessary, consider reporting a data breach to the ICO, and we will use this information to inform our next steps." The spokesman added that if an organisation decides that a report is not needed, that it should still keep its own record of events and be able to explain why it did not file a report. The ICO recommends that concerned organisations use its online function for filing data breach reports. Authorities so far involved include Ada, Worthing, Derby City, Colchester City and Rochford, but there are likely to be more. Back to you, Deborah.
A little worrying, that one, I think. Well, we were discussing earlier, Dennis, the range of items that you've covered in the bulletin in recent months relating to the Levelling Up Bill and the planning provisions that are part of the bill. Now, this comes up in the news time after time. As you said in an earlier grapevine, this bill is highly controversial. It is taking ages to pass through Parliament. There have been disagreements in Parliament about housing policy, the use of greenbelt areas for development, and you've also highlighted that several councils have chosen not to produce new development plans because of national policy uncertainty. And you've also mentioned that all this overall uncertainty is discouraging new investment. Business likes certainty. Well, our main conference programme will cover the planning aspects of the Levelling Up Bill in detail, and delegates will be able to hear from new LLG President Rachel McCoy, herself an experienced local government planning lawyer and in fact our national lead planning officer. Now, Rachel will be joined by Emir Thomas from law firm Sharp Pritchard, and we're looking forward to that one. And of course, the conference provides an opportunity to meet and chat with Rachel, our new president, who featured in a major article recently in the Law Society Gazette, and she was on the front page too. Dennis, what's your last item today?
Deborah, my last item is also on an emerging topic that might well come up during that monitoring officer panel session that I mentioned earlier. And it concerns ethics, governance, and the increasing use of artificial intelligence and automated decision-making in the public sector. Here's more on this. ChatGPT and other AI tools are starting to transform our interactions with a range of organizations, including in the public sector. The benefits and risks involved were highlighted in the media recently by educationalists concerned about the lack of advice for schools on handling developments in artificial intelligence. Now, back in 2020, Lord Evans, chair of the Committee of Standards, reminds us that the committee produced a report and recommendations on how we ensure that high ethical standards can be upheld as technologically assisted decision-making is adopted more widely across the public sector. Honesty, integrity, objectivity, openness, leadership, selflessness, and accountability were first outlined by Lord Nolan in 1995 as the standards expected of all those who act on the public's behalf. They are the basis for codes and rules guiding conduct and decision-making across the public sector. But what happens when decisions are made or assisted by a machine? The 2020 report argued that public sector organisations are not sufficiently transparent about their use of AI, and that it is too difficult to find out where machine learning is currently being used in government. They called on government to establish a coherent regulatory and governance framework for artificial intelligence in the public sector, and to produce practical guidance and enforceable regulation on transparency and data bias as a matter of urgency. The report said that public bodies using AI to deliver frontline services must comply with the law surrounding data-driven technology and implement clear, risk-based governance for their use of AI to prepare for the changes AI will bring to public sector practice. We also ask government to use its purchasing power in the market to set procurement requirements that ensure that private companies developing AI solutions for the public sector appropriately address public standards. There are exciting benefits to be gained from this new technology. Government and regulators need to act swiftly, however, to keep up with the pace of AI innovation. You may not be aware, but Lord Evans is due to step down as chair of the Standards Committee later this year. Deborah, back to you.
Thank you, Dennis. Now, if I've whet the appetite at all for attending the LLG conference, it's not too late. The conference is this Friday in Birmingham, but you can also attend online. And then there's a remote day the following Friday, and it would be really lovely to see you there. I can't stress the importance of plugging in with peers in your profession to share experiences and learn from best practice. So see you soon. You can read more on the items discussed today and many more besides by going to bulletin number 21, available on the LLG website now. So it's goodbye from me.
And from me too.